Ethan Carter had never imagined his life would look like this. At 26, he wasn't chasing dreams anymore. He was chasing stability, rent, groceries, medical bills for his younger sister. Life had turned practical too early, leaving no space for softness, no space for mistakes. He worked at a logistics company, a place where deadlines mattered more than people, where men were expected to be tough, silent, and unbreakable. Ethan fit that mold, or at least he tried to, because the truth was he wasn't unbreakable. He was just very good at hiding cracks. Every morning, he woke before sunrise, cooked breakfast for his sister Lily, made sure she took her medicines, and left quietly so he wouldn't wake her fully. She was only 16, fragile in ways doctors struggled to explain. Ethan had become everything: brother, parent, protector. Love? That wasn't something he had time for. Not until Noah Hayes walked into his life. Noah was everything Ethan wasn't: confident, sharp, commanding. As a newly appointed head of operations, Noah carried an aura that made people straighten their backs when he passed. His voice was calm, but firm enough to cut through chaos. He didn't smile often, but when he did, it felt rare, almost dangerous. People whispered about him. Alpha, they called him jokingly, not just because of his leadership, but because of the way he dominated every room without trying. Ethan didn't care. At least, that's what he told himself. Their first interaction wasn't memorable. Their second wasn't either. But the third changed everything. It was a late evening. Most employees had left. Ethan was still at his desk, fixing a shipment report that had been rejected twice already. His eyes burned. His head ached. He couldn't afford mistakes. Not when his entire life depended on this job. "You're still here?" The voice startled him. Ethan looked up, and there he was, Noah, standing with his sleeves rolled up, tie loosened, watching him with unreadable eyes. "I need to fix this report," Ethan replied, keeping his tone neutral. Noah walked closer, glancing at the screen. "You've made the same calculation error 3 times. Ethan's jaw tightened. "I'll fix it. You said that before." The words were calm, but they hit like a slap. Ethan stood up abruptly. "I know what I'm doing." Noah raised an eyebrow, unimpressed. "Do you?" Silence filled the room. Something snapped. Maybe it was the exhaustion. Maybe the pressure. Maybe the fact that Ethan hadn't heard a single kind word in weeks. "Not everyone has the luxury to be perfect like you," Ethan said sharply. "Some of us don't get second chances." The moment the words left his mouth, he knew he'd gone too far. The room turned colder. Noah's expression didn't change, but something in his eyes did. Danger. "Stay," Noah said quietly. Ethan froze. Noah walked around the desk, stopping just inches away from him. "Explain that." Ethan swallowed hard. "I mean..." "Then what did you mean?" The tension between them was suffocating. Ethan's heart pounded, not just from fear, but from something else he didn't want to name. He started, voice faltering. "I'm tired." For a moment, something softened in Noah's gaze, but it disappeared just as quickly. Tired doesn't justify incompetence. That did it. Ethan pushed past him. "I'll fix the report. You'll have it by morning." He didn't wait for a response. He just needed air. But Noah grabbed his wrist, not painfully, but firmly enough to stop him. Running away doesn't solve anything. Ethan turned, anger flashing in his eyes. "Neither does standing here judging me." They were too close now. Close enough for Ethan to notice the faint scar near Noah's jaw. Close enough to feel his breath. Close enough to lose control. "I'm not judging you," Noah said, voice lower now. "I'm trying to understand why you keep pushing yourself to the point of breaking." "Let go." No. That single word. It wasn't loud, but it carried weight. Ethan's chest tightened. "You don't get to control me," he said, struggling to keep his voice steady. Noah's grip tightened just slightly. "I'm not controlling you." "Then what is this?" For a moment, neither of them moved. The tension wasn't just anger anymore. It was something deeper, something dangerous. And then, everything blurred. Ethan didn't remember who moved first. He didn't remember how the distance disappeared completely. All he knew was that emotions he had buried for years stress, loneliness, frustration, exploded all at once. And Noah didn't stop it. He responded, intensely, possessively, like something in him had been waiting for this moment too. It wasn't gentle. It wasn't planned. It was raw, messy, driven by anger, confusion, and something neither of them understood. And when it was over, reality came crashing back. Ethan stepped away first. His hands trembled. His mind screamed at him. What did I just do? Noah stood there, breathing heavy, eyes locked on him. But there was no regret in them. Only something darker, something deeper. Go home, Noah said finally. Ethan didn't argue. He couldn't. He just grabbed his bag and left. That night, he didn't sleep. He sat beside Lily's bed, watching her breathe, trying to ground himself. It meant nothing. That's what he told himself. It was a mistake, a moment of weakness. It would never happen again. And for a while, it didn't. Days turned into weeks. Work went back to normal. Noah treated him like any other employee. Professional, distant, cold, as if that night never existed. Ethan was grateful, or at least he tried to be, because forgetting was easier than facing it. But then, things started changing. It was small at first. Fatigue, dizziness, a strange sensitivity to smells. Ethan ignored it. He didn't have time to be sick. But his body didn't care about his schedule. One morning, he collapsed at work. When he woke up, he was in a clinic. And everything after that moment changed his life forever. The doctor's words didn't make sense at first. Ethan stared at her, waiting for her to correct herself. I think there's been a misunderstanding, he said, voice shaky. But she only looked at him with calm certainty. There's no mistake. His world tilted. That's not possible. But it was. And suddenly, that night he tried so hard to forget became impossible to ignore. Ethan walked out of the clinic in a daze. His hands trembled as he held the report. His mind raced with questions he couldn't answer. Fear, confusion, anger, and beneath it all, a terrifying realization. There was only one person who needed to know. Noah. But Ethan wasn't ready. Because this wasn't just about him anymore. This was about responsibility, about consequences, about a future he never planned for. And deep down, he knew one thing. Noah Hayes was not the kind of man who would walk away from this. Whether that was a good thing, or the beginning of something far more complicated, Ethan didn't know yet. But he was about to find out. Ethan didn't go to work the next day, or the day after that. For the first time in years, he allowed himself to stop, not because he wanted to, but because he didn't know how to move forward anymore. Every thought led back to the same place. How do I tell him? He sat on the edge of his bed, staring at the folded report in his hands, the one that had changed everything. Lily's voice broke the silence. Bye, you've been quiet lately. Ethan looked up, forcing a small smile. I'm just tired. She frowned. You always say that. But this time it feels different. Ethan didn't reply, because she was right. Everything was different, and no matter how much he tried to delay it, he knew one thing. He couldn't hide this forever. So on the third day, he went back. The office felt colder than usual. Or maybe it was just him. People greeted him like normal, but Ethan barely noticed. His steps felt heavy as he walked toward Noah's office. Each step felt like walking toward a decision that would define his entire life. He knocked. Come in. That same calm voice. Ethan's chest tightened. He opened the door. Noah was there, sitting behind his desk, reviewing files like always. For a moment, it felt like nothing had changed. But then Noah looked up, and their eyes met. Something shifted instantly. Noah leaned back slightly, studying him. You've been absent. Ethan nodded. I know. Reason? Straight to the point. That was Noah. Ethan took a deep breath. We need to talk. Something in his tone made Noah pause. He closed the file slowly. Then talk. Ethan walked in, closing the door behind him. The silence in the room felt heavier than before. He didn't sit, didn't look away, because if he did, he might lose the courage. I went to the clinic, Ethan said. Noah didn't react. And Ethan's fingers tightened around the paper, and something happened. Still nothing. Ethan swallowed. I'm pregnant. The words fell into the room like a storm. For the first time, Noah's expression changed. Not shock, not disbelief, but something deeper, something calculating, silent, dangerous. Ethan's heart pounded. Say something. Noah stood up slowly, walked toward him, step by step, until they were face to face again. Just like that night. Is it mine? Noah asked quietly. The question hit harder than anything else. Ethan's eyes flashed with anger. What kind of question is that? Noah didn't flinch. I need to hear it. Ethan's voice trembled. There's no one else. Silence. A long, suffocating silence. Then Noah exhaled slowly, and something in his shoulders relaxed. I see. Ethan blinked. That's it? What do you want me to say? Noah asked. I don't know. Ethan snapped. Anything. This isn't small, Noah. This is my life. Our life, Noah corrected. Ethan froze. Noah stepped closer. This didn't happen to you alone. His voice was calm, steady, but there was something intense beneath it. I'm not running away from this. Ethan stared at him, searching for doubt, for hesitation. But there was none. Why? Ethan asked quietly. Noah's eyes softened just slightly. Because I don't run from responsibility. That answer, it wasn't romantic. It wasn't emotional. But it was real. And somehow, that made it stronger. Ethan looked down. I don't know how to do this. You won't do it alone. Ethan looked up again. Noah was closer now. Close enough to feel real. Close enough to believe. I'll take care of everything, Noah said. Ethan shook his head immediately. I don't need charity. It's not charity. Then what is it? Noah didn't answer right away. Instead, he reached out, slowly, carefully, and placed his hand over Ethan's trembling one. It's because, he paused, choosing his words carefully. I care. Ethan's breath caught. Because that was the first honest thing Noah had said. Days turned into weeks. And slowly, their lives began to change. Noah wasn't perfect. He was still strict, still controlled, still hard to read. But now, he showed up every morning, every appointment. Every moment Ethan felt like breaking. Noah was there, not with sweet words, but with actions. He made sure Ethan ate, rested, took his medicine. And when Lily found out, she didn't react with shock. She simply smiled softly. You don't have to carry everything alone anymore, bye. For the first time in years. Ethan believed that, but it wasn't easy. There were nights Ethan cried silently, moments when fear overwhelmed him. Am I enough for this? Will this child have a normal life? Am I ruining everything? And every time, Noah was there, sometimes just sitting beside him, sometimes holding his hand, sometimes pulling him into a quiet embrace that said more than words ever could. One night, Ethan finally asked a question that had been haunting him. Do you regret it? Noah didn't need to ask what he meant. No. Not even a little? No. Ethan looked at him. Why? Noah met his gaze. Because it led me to you. That was the moment everything changed. Not the pregnancy. Not the responsibility. But that simple truth. Months passed. And slowly, what started as anger turned into something real. Something steady. Something safe. The day their child was born. Ethan cried. Not from pain, but from relief. From disbelief. From the overwhelming feeling that somehow he had made it. Noah stood beside him the entire time. And when the nurse placed the baby in Ethan's arms, everything else disappeared. She's beautiful, Ethan whispered. Noah looked at them, and for the first time, he smiled fully, just like you. Ethan laughed softly through his tears. No, she has your eyes. Noah shook his head. She has your strength. And in that moment, they weren't broken. They weren't lost. They weren't defined by that night anymore. They were something else. A family. Not perfect. Not planned. But real. And sometimes, that's enough. Because in the end, a real man isn't someone who never falls. It's someone who stays, who takes responsibility, who learns to love even when it's difficult. And Noah Hayes, he stayed. For Ethan, for their child, for the life they built from chaos. And Ethan, he finally found something he never thought he would have. Not just stability, not just survival, but a home